We're working on February 1st, 2nd actually, but it's time of year where we get processing stuff for spring, so we're in perennial trim cutback. We're here with Boots in our house. He's taking the old bamboo trellis off. We'll trim them back, and then what we're going to do is we'll install a new trellis, and we're going to be turning the heat up to get these to be ready for Mother's Day. So we have a whole heating process we do every 2 weeks. We increase the temperature threshold so the venting and heating go up so that we get these actively growing. But you can see it's a fairly fast process, but often we get the question, what are nurseries doing in the middle of winter? And this is really part of what we're doing, just processing the plants, getting them ready for spring sales. One of the details with the cutback is we want to leave a couple of the breaks down low here so that if we don't get breaks from the root system, we've got breaks that will come off of the old vine. So on Clematis, we usually cut it just a little bit higher, leave a couple inches there just so we get those places where it can break. One of the questions that's come up here in the house is why some of the vines have trellises on, bamboo trellises, and some do not. Those ones that we were looking at, those were basically what these are, is the younger canning. So that's a little bit older. One of the benefits of getting the older Clematis is the more root systems develop, the more flowers they get. But also, so the older plants are actually probably more desirable than the younger ones to a degree. These were canned up last year, so we don't trellis them the first year. We just kind of let them vine out and cut them back a little bit. So that's the difference between why these don't have trellises on them and those did. All right, today we're moved over to one of our other ranges. This is range 3 for us. It's one of our newer houses. We have curtains, but something interesting in here I wanted to talk about today. We have hay-scented ferns here. This is kind of a new thing for us. We got them in as plugs from tissue culture. So they were kind of really delicate when we got them, so we had to be very careful when we planted them. But typically we get these more as a bare root. It's usually like little rhizomes in a little roll, or we get like a cut mat. This grows very surface dwelling in the forest floor. So we're trying to kind of see how this operation works and the difference, because we've also we have a trial going on where we cut did some divisions with it this time of year, and it looks real promising. So we'll have to kind of circle back to this in later weeks to show you how the crop's coming. But hay-scented fern we found is one of these plants that it's kind of hard to transplant in the beginning. You have to keep it just at the very surface of the soil. You got to keep it moist and cool, so we usually look for shadier spots. We do have the ability here, we push it up against the west wall that diffuses a lot of the light, so we don't get quite as much light in here. We also have the ability to put curtains across on the top based on light. So we're not doing it at this point, we're just kind of let it go because of the short day length. So something else we canned up last week was sensational lavender. So this will be our first ready crop for 2026. We have pretty much kind of in our lavender program kind of went to the fact that we'd like to not winter as much as possible, try to sell through, but we'll have these crops ready early on. Most of our lavender sales kind of come in that first half of the year, so the later stuff. But we've put our program together. We have lots of cuttings. All these start from URCs. We don't hardly ever buy plugs anymore, unless we had like a little failure in the URCs. But all these are stuck as just an unrooted cutting, and then we grow them out. Usually takes 8 weeks in the winter. But we had these started last fall. We grew these up and we overwintered them as a plug. Now we brought them into heat, and then we'll grow these on and get them up a little bit, put a trim in them, put some fertilizer on them. We don't do it right off the bat because we have liquid feed we have going on them right now. Unfortunately, lavender is a long day plant, so it does not grow exceptionally well in the middle of winter. So we know this, so we also keep more precision with the booms for water so that we can keep them moist, but let them dry down a little bit. Lavender is really good at telling you when it's too wet. Right now, if you can see, it's really dull colored. It doesn't really have a lot of gray in it, so it just got watered. When you see that more silvery gray in it, you know it's a little bit on the drier side. So you kind of watch for that. You want it to be in that mode most of the time, but you will see when you get it wet, it stays this color. All right, we moved over. This is a flat that we stuck. This is what we take to the canning that we just talked about. But you can see these are much more silvery. They got that blue silverish color to them. So these are a little bit on the drier side. There's moisture there, but they're drying down. So that's really what I like to see when we're growing this lavender, is just keeping that nice color. Some of the things that we get is we can get botrytis. You really want these dry when you're trimming them. I found also with lavender, late day watering is not good. We try to water this early morning, from like when sun comes up to like mid-morning would be ideal watering time with this, so it gives it dry down time. Also here in Ohio, we're starting to get a little longer day, a little more power in the sun. Mid-February is when we start to see the sun get a little more power, and those crops kind of catch up to these first ones almost. So we have 2 kind of canning cycles with this. Every 2 weeks we do another canning, and that sometimes that February 15th canning, that canning can catch up to the 2-1 canning. So it's really interesting how much sun plays a factor in these long plant and how they grow and how they like to get up and go.